And welcome to the Midday Show. I am Jeff Everett. He is Mark Messina. We are on day 6. We're almost halfway there in the 12 days of giveaways.
At the end of today, we will be halfway there.
It's going by faster than I thought it would.
I can't believe that Christmas is like in a week. And now I'm knocking stuff off my desk.
It's pretty crazy.
Oh, and now I'm knocking things. I'm all over the place here. Did I mess that up?
You had an extra 30 minutes to prep to be ready for this.
Well, I don't know. I always like to, I have a glue stick in my hand sometimes. Where are we? A pen. Okay. I'm a fiddler.
Yep.
I just went to grab the glue stick because that was the closest thing here, and it knocked it on the floor, and then I bumped the wheel
I'm like a big pen cap, clicker, stuff like that. I've never understood the fidget spinners.
No,
I don't find them. They don't do what other things do when I hold them in my hand.
Did you ever do this? This is an old-fashioned pen. Where are we at here? With the lid like this. I've always been a pen squeezer.
Okay. No.
Have you ever done that?
No.
And it broke through the top, and that hurts.
Ooh, no, I've never done that before.
It is bad.
But I've never just I am a fidgeter. I've joked before. I probably will never wear a ring because I will play with it the whole time it's on my hand.
You know what's funny? I never wore a ring until I got married, and I played with it. We'd be sitting at dinner.
Yeah.
I would take my ring off and spin it like a quarter.
Right.
And my ex would be like, "You're a child. Put the ring back on."
Yeah.
But I would flip it like a coin, and I was always, it was weird.
Fidgeting with it, right?
Yeah.
So I'm nervous. I don't know if I'll ever be able to just calmly wear a ring. But these fidget spinners and stuff like that, they don't do what I think they would do. They're supposed to help you think and occupy you and
right.
But whatever the style, the spinning and it just doesn't do that.
Now I'm curious to see you with a wedding ring, because one of the other aspects too is I wore mine always.
Okay.
I wore it in the shower. Because some people be like, well, when I play golf, I take it on. I just put my golf glove over it. I played pickup basketball with it because it's not someone's going to wrap inside. And
sure.
So I wore mine all the time.
Yeah.
But I messed with it all the time. So now it'll be curious to see when you get there how you deal.
I've joked and I've told people I would rather do a tattoo than a ring. Because then
I get that.
There's nothing for me
to fidget with.
So if I'm with somebody where I absolutely have to symbolize it on my ring finger, that is a must, there must be a symbol there, I would rather do the tattoo than do
that. Would be an
ring.
Interesting discussion once we get beyond Christmas. How many married people just don't wear a ring?
Yeah.
And there is a percentage that's not 1%. I would say it's somewhere between 10 and 25%. Maybe 25 is too high.
Okay.
And I would think just guys, because women are jewelry people.
We know what's funny is because now I'm into my 30s and I've been in relationships, I've been single, all this stuff. I've never looked at somebody's hand to tell if they're single or not. It's something I've never done before.
Oh my gosh. I remember sitting in Camden Yards with my brother's friend. And we were discussing something, and because Mike's playing, so he was there and we're sitting there. So my brother would have been mid-20s. So this guy's even at the time, mid-20s, I'm early 20s.
Sure.
And he said something, and we were talking about a girl, and he said, she has a ring on. Mm-hmm. And I said, oh, I didn't even notice. And he says, when you get older, you'll learn that you'll look early.
I guess.
And ever since then, I was like, oh, that is interesting. I guess it's so.
But I was single. I was single at different points in my life from the age of 25 to 32, 31, 32. So, at that point in your life, I just
at
never
30,
looked.
If you saw a girl in a bar, you didn't look to see if she had a ring?
It never crossed my mind to look at her hand.
You pulled up her Facebook status?
I don't even know that. I think it just you started talking and if she mentioned she had a boyfriend or a husband.
But not even talking, from across the room.
No.
You don't look at someone and
never.
Never.
And listen, I realize I might be in the minority there, but I can honestly say to you that's never been something I seek or look for, is whether or not there's a ring on there.
I think as a single 30-year-old guy, I think you're in the minority. 30 and above. If you you see, you don't. you don't check her out very long before you're checking to see if there's a ring on her finger.
I don't know. Yeah, that's weird. Before
the interesting ones too is when you can tell but you can't tell what finger it's on, and then you're like, oh, I can see she's got jewelry, but is it?
But can't you just talk to them and find out? Like, you're just not going to talk.
Well, no, you're not that far along. You're 5 seconds into you're like, oh, and then you're like, and then you look at a ring, and because you're not going to go talk to her if she's got a wedding ring on.
But I guess I do. And then as I talk to them, I find out if they're in a relationship or not. Like, it never crosses my mind. Like, the first stop sign is never whether or not they have a ring on their hand. I guess the first stop sign for me comes like 5 minutes into the conversation, where it's like, who are you here with? Like, who, like that, like, and then like, oh, I'm with my friend.
But see, that's
my boyfriend, or
let me help you. Like, the ring, whether it be wedding or engagement, they even make them different so you can tell.
I understand.
So you don't have to go through the 5-minute conversation. Yes. You're like, who are you here with?
Yes.
Your husband.
That's why you're a jerk and I'm not, because I still enjoy the 5-minute conversation. And here's the other part of it too. Maybe they're there with a group of friends. Maybe their friends are single. Like, it just introduces you to the conversation and who you're talking with.
So are you one of those guys that we all wish we were, that we had the guts to just walk over to a chick and strike up the conversation?
I don't think I'm that guy, because I've already told you before, like, I am not the first night guy. You have to be around me a couple of times before, like, who's not so bad? Jeff actually isn't that bad.
Listen, this has been my line forever. I am an acquired taste.
Yes, absolutely.
Your first meeting, I do not do well.
Okay, so no, I don't think I'm the type of person that just like goes for it. I don't think I'm that way at all. I'm just simply saying, though, like, to just not talk to people when you're single because, like, you're just looking at people's hands, to me is just complete ignorance.
I mean, listen,
like, it doesn't make any sense.
If you're like, I talk to people I talk to a guy leaving Sam's Club today because they had this huge television, and it's him and his wife, and I was like, you're gonna have a tough time sticking that one under the tree. And he turns around, he goes, this is for us. Ours just blew up. So he goes, we're just lucky it was on sale. But like, listen, I talk to everyone. But if you're in a bar and you're here and there's a girl over the other side of the bar and you're like, like, before you go over and strike up a conversation, you're not looking at her and saying, because I wonder what her opinion is on the vaccine. You're looking at her because and then you're like, well, if she's a ring on.
But you're very narrow-minded. And
why? Like, me?
In this example, you're very narrow-minded, because what you're essentially saying is you only go to a bar because you are trying to find, like, the love of your life.
No.
And all I'm
saying I'm not saying that at all.
So all I'm saying is the hypothetical here was like, if I was married and someone came up and talked to me, but I had a single brother, and that person was attractive and they were polite and they were nice and I'd be like, and they mentioned like they're single, and I was like, oh, my wife's over there, she's sitting next to my brother, he's single. Like, you never know what you're gonna fall into if you're just like talking to someone. And the other part of this too, and I've said this before, who has knows attractive people? Attractive people. So like, if you're attracted to somebody, you don't think they have single cousins or single sisters or single friends. Like, I'm just saying, the idea that you're not going to talk, the only target you're looking for is whether or not they have a ring on their hand. To me, you're very much limiting your opportunities to fall into something.
Okay, first of all, I didn't say I would not talk to people who are married, but I'm saying, just as you and Jerry made fun of me a half hour ago for explaining Google Drive and how it works and how you have it.
Yes.
If as a 30-some-year-old adult, if you go up to a female and she has a ring on her finger,
right, and
you have to ask her through conversation to find out if she's married or engaged, when right there on her finger it's telling you,
I'm just not looking,
then you're just missing the clues of life.
Is it though? The clue? I just don't care what's on her hand. Like, it's just, I'm not looking at her hands. I'm not. I'm listening to her, like I'm looking, I'm talking, I'm communicating. Like, I'm never looking at their hands, ever.
But you should start.
Why?
So you just randomly go and talk to everyone in the bar?
I mean, sometimes. It depends how many drinks I've had.
I was just going to say that. I was going to say that. You stole my punchline.
Depends if I'm having a good day and a good night, and like if I'm having a good mood. Like, I don't know. I'm just saying, I've never used the hand as like a direct marker as to how I should approach this person, ever.
See, and you should, because your approach to a girl should be different if you know she's engaged or if you know she's married.
Well, once I know that, I do adjust.
She's telling you with the ring.
Maybe she's not, though.
If she's single and she's wearing a ring just to keep morons from bothering her, then you're that moron she doesn't want to be bothered by.
This is also a little bit of old versus young, because I would imagine in your generation, like, the ring was very sanctimonious, like it very much mattered. Whereas like in our generation, like less and less people wear their ring. Like it's just not as commonplace. The symbolism.
See, now this is what I would say. And I agree with the differences of generations. I agree with that. You know who I think really loves to wear the rings?
Who?
The girl.
You see, I don't know. Go ahead, continue.
I would love to know what percentage of engaged women under the age of 30 don't wear their ring everywhere. They wear it through a metal detector. Like they won't take it off.
But I think, yes, once you get into like the function of life, though, I think it becomes much less. Once you have kids and your job, and it's like, then it becomes more functional. And
I get it.
I don't know. I get it. It's a good one. It's a good point. Yeah. I'm very willing to admit I'm in the minority in that, but I've never looked at people's hands. Like I don't know. Do you look like this? Is the other part too. Like sneakerheads, people who like shoes. I don't know if I've ever looked at somebody's feet when I'm like in a bar or at a restaurant or out.
There are so many things I'm oblivious to. I've worked with people at the same office for years and don't know what kind of car they drive. Like right now, if Jerry has said to me, which he's done on multiple occasions, but people change cars again. But if he said, "Hey, go put this in my car," I have no idea what color it is, and I have no idea what he's driving.
So you understand my point then of like there are certain aspects of life like you just don't look at. For me, like I've never looked at the ring finger ever. Like that's never been. I just don't look at it. Same way I don't look at people's shoes. Like the same way I don't remember like what people drive. Like I just don't think of those things when I think of people.
And listen, when I'm talking to a guy in a bar, do I look to see if he's married? No.
What's wrong if you did?
Because it doesn't matter to the conversation. There's nothing that I'm going to say to him that is going to be different than but
see, I wouldn't treat, no, see, I think we still disagree because I just don't think I would treat guy, girl, he, she, they, like, I just don't think I would not approach them differently whether or not they had a ring or whether or not what the goal was. Like if I'm just meeting somebody, I don't necessarily even know what the goal is. There's an intriguement of whether it's, I heard them say something or I'm attracted or I don't know.
That's the key. Okay. Whatever that intriguement is, which I'm not sure intriguement is a word, but I do get what you're saying. It works. It's very functional. It's very functional.
Okay.
Whatever the intriguement is, it would help you to know that she has a boyfriend and he's standing right over there.
But you don't know. You can't tell that by the ring on their finger.
But you know if she has an engagement ring that she has a boyfriend and he's standing right over somewhere, even if it's at home, even if it's somewhere. I'll give you a story. Did you ever go to a Jimmy Buffett concert?
No.
You should. Good times. So I have a buddy who Jimmy Buffett concert is like, his description of it is like a beach party at a concert pavilion. And we're out on the lawn. Because you don't buy seats to the Jimmy Buffett concert. You need to be on the lawn because that's where the party is. There's beach balls going around. There's all this stuff. So songs would come up. He's running around and he's dancing with people.
Okay.
And just literally, he's finding a different girl for each song to dance with.
Okay.
And one time I'm looking at him and I'm like, I think she's about 16. I think those are her parents. And after the song, he comes back over and is like, dude, I think she was really young. And he goes, yeah, I realized that when I got there, but then I thought I'd be rude if I didn't, so I just danced with her anyway. So he's like a 30-year-old dancing with a 16-year-old, which I don't know how that goes, but whatever. So the show goes on, he's dancing with this girl, and standing behind him is like this guy who's like 6'4", arms crossed, just staring down. My buddy's probably 5'9",
okay.
And he's dancing with this girl. So there I am, the good friend. I casually sneak over, tap the guy on the shoulder, and he peers down at me, and there's no friendly look. And I was like, is that your girlfriend? And all he did was nod.
Okay.
And I was like, listen, he's harmless, but if you want me to, I will get him away.
Okay.
And finally, the guy's face broke. He goes, nah, it's a Buffett concert. I get it. Everything's cool.
Yep.
And I said, I appreciate that. But before you pummel him, please let me know and I will get him away. He's like, no, it's cool.
So how are you tying this all
the
together?
moral of the story is,
okay,
when there's the boyfriend around,
yes.
it would change the approach. And I hope my buddy would be like, before he just went up and grabbed this random girl and started dancing with her, that if he's like, oh, that's her boyfriend right there, this might not be the best idea.
But see, I think, okay, everything you're saying isn't wrong, but you use the word the approach. And all I would say is I don't think my approach changes regardless, because I don't think I'm doing anything as I approach that would be seen as wrong.
You don't think your intriguement, as I'm going to keep using
No, it's a good word.
Your intriguement, whatever has intrigued you,
sure,
would be less intriguing if she was unavailable.
Well, if you close yourself off to that, yes, but I already said this to you. Like a lot of times, like if you are attracted to somebody, like you know who probably looks like them or acts like their cousins, their sisters, their friends.
Excuse me.
Like,
do you have a sister?
No, I'm just saying. So anytime there's an intriguement there, whether you hear them say something that you agree with or that you thought was funny or the way they look or whatever it is, I'm just saying to completely shut yourself off because you're just looking for their hand like through the crowd. I don't know.
No, and I get if you're close enough within an earshot and they say something and you can jump into the conversation, that's one thing.
Sure.
If you're across the room and it's purely visual, then that's different. Because you're only interested because you think she's hot at this point.
Well, no.
And then you get to the point.
Because there are other things. For example, what they're wearing. They could have your favorite. No, I'm serious. They could have the team you had on. They could have a school.
Okay, that's fair. I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
I'm just saying, there's a lot of ways to approach somebody where, whether you're intrigued or not, if you are intrigued, you can approach them without the end goal being to ruin their relationship.
No, and I'm not saying that. But I'm saying from across the room.
Yes.
There could be, yes. If I see a girl with a Tony Dorsett jersey on,
there you go.
I am climbing
she could
over
have on
people
10 rings and you'd
and I will fight the guy for her. Like, I get that.
Okay.
But 90% of the time from across the room, it's not about what she's wearing. It's not about who. It's about whether you find the person attractive or not. It's that simplistic. And
for who? It's that simplistic for you.
What else would it be for you?
I just said I just gave you examples.
But your examples of, like, other than if she's wearing a Mansfield basketball shirt.
Right.
But like other than that, if she's just wearing a normal top and pants and whatever, and she's with friends that you don't know any of them.
Listen, you never know who's going to have an older or younger cousin. You never know who's going to have an older or younger sister. I'm just saying, you don't. So to just block yourself off from these aspects of life because a person is wearing a ring just feels very old school is too easy of a word. It just feels very back in the day of like, oh, like stay away. And I just think like in our society, like I'm going to talk to somebody I find interesting. It doesn't mean I'm going to ruin their entire life.
But see, here's the thing. From across the room, you haven't found her interesting yet. She may be not interesting at all. All you found her is hot.
I disagree.
What makes her interesting?
You gave the Tony Dorsett jersey example.
Well, if she has that.
Okay.
Okay.
From across the room, she could have ordered, I'm trying to think something, for example. Like, I don't mind squid. Like, I like calamari. No. Like, when I order dinner, I don't mind, like, certain exotic seafoods, right? A lot of people hate seafoods. What if she's the only other person in the room that you saw, like, take, like, the calamari sampler?
Then you're kind of being a stalker creepy, aren't you?
Oh, my gosh. Now I'm a stalker.
I know this is going to sound weird, but I've been watching what you ate off the hors d'oeuvre tray.
You just said you were going to tackle the girl in the Tony Dorsett.
No. I was going to fight her boyfriend.
But I'm a stalker.
Because I'm 50 and I've yet to meet a girl in a bar wearing a Tony Dorsett jersey.
Oh, my goodness. It's a good conversation. I think we disagree, and that's okay. I just don't think it's as big of a deal as people make it out to be. I don't. I've never not had a conversation with somebody because there was a ring on his or her finger, ever. It's never changed my mind of whether or not I was going to approach somebody.
So if you're going to go, so if you are smooth enough to work into the conversation that you see her from across the room, you know she's got a wedding ring on, but you're thinking she's hot. Maybe she has a hot single sister.
No, but
and
that's
if
not
you're
what I'm
working your
thinking.
way like here,
that's not what I'm thinking. What I'm thinking is there's connection. Like I like X, she likes X.
what do you?
Or
But
I
you
like
don't
X.
have a connection yet. All you know is she's hot.
No, I don't. I know that we have something in common.
What's that? We're in the same bar?
A shirt. Yeah, sure. A shirt, an order, whatever it may be. I don't know.
Okay, so you have to have an in before you just blindly walk up to a hot girl and start talking to her.
Listen, I'm not good at that to begin with. Like you keep trying to like dig
Well, I'm
in
trying
like,
to
deeper
find.
and deeper.
Well, that's where it started with. I'm like, are you that guy that we're all jealous of?
No,
because we've all stood in the bar.
Time out. This started with me saying, I don't even look at people's hands. I've never not talked to somebody because there's a ring on their ring.
You just say you blindly
That's how
ram
this
it.
started.
Do you have a friend who, because my Buffett, he was the guy that you didn't have to be like, hey, you go talk to her. No, you go talk to her. He was already there. He was fearless. Do you have a friend in your friend group that is that fearless when sober, not when drunk?
No, I mean, we certainly, I will put it this way. When you're with a group, you certainly do things that you wouldn't when you're alone.
Yeah.
Is that a fair way to
both legal and illegal?
So I would argue that within my group of friends, there were certainly times through our 20s where if we were with a group, all of us were a little more willing to approach somebody than what we would have been if we were by ourselves.
Okay.
But
do you have that? Was there that one that was?
I don't know. I don't know if there was one per se. I don't think so.
Okay. Because he is the one that always will stick out. He was just.
But it comes back to this.
And he could he could come back over and be like, that didn't go well. And it didn't even phase him.
But it also comes back to this as well. You live in a world, like when you were going through your 20s and 30s, you lived in a world where if you saw somebody in a bar, you may never see that person again.
Correct.
I live in a world where if you saw somebody in your 20s and early 30s, if you started a 5-minute conversation with them, you might have a phone number by the end of it that you can text. You might have a Snapchat. You might have an Instagram handle. Like there's 1,000 ways to eventually get to know this person or eventually. So
that is totally true.
The ambition of approaching somebody is just very different when what you think of a 20-year-old approaching somebody and what I think of a 20-year-old.
That's fair. That is very fair.
That's all.
That is certainly there's generation gaps with every generation. That is certainly one that kind of your generation and forever and ever beyond.
If you let the girl out of your dreams, out of your sight when you were 20 something, it was over. How were you going to find her? You weren't going to find her.
No, I'm with you.
How were you ever in my generation? Like you'll find her. You'll find the right. So I don't know.
No, that is true. That would be an interesting one. How many people had that? The girl in the subway or the guy in the subway that they didn't make conversation with. And then
we talked about the movie Serendipity and you could never make the movie Serendipity now. You'd find her in 24 hours.
It would certainly have a different tone to it now. I totally
Instagram,
agree with that.
Facebook, everything. Everything else, you'd find her. There's no movie. Yeah, it's just they would just find each other.
And I love that movie.
Yeah,
it is such a good movie.
Yeah,
no, I'm with you. I'm with you.
Just to recap, if you like today's video, if you comment on today's video and you share today's video, you get a chance to win tomorrow. Today's winners did that yesterday. So they all took the opportunity to like, comment, and share.
And our Christmas topic today was, do you look at the ring
or not?
Do you look at the girl's left hand?
You can do one or you can do all three. The question of the day, if you're commenting, because some people commented on both. There's actually some conversation going along with what you and I
we have comments already?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The question of today, if you were in charge of the holidays, what would you add to the season? I was trying to figure out how to make it fit on the screen. You gave kind of like if you were the grand poobah, if you were the ruler of the world.
If you were the ruler of the world.
Right. What would you add? What would you want to see? You gave a very touching answer.
Well, I think for older, we always see it as family.
Okay.
And depending on how old people get and how where family is and where family's scattered to, and once they get grandkids and stuff, it's hard. it's sometimes it's hard to go home at Christmas, and then you get grandparents trying to travel to places, and sometimes that's hard. And now with COVID's done it. I think we could be much more inclusive to older people who have fewer people to see at the holidays, or maybe they're going to see them next week or something like that. I also think I would make the 24th a holiday.
Okay.
Because like there's so much, and I know a lot of people don't, but offices may work till noon and then they close. And if the 23rd was it, and at the close of business on the 23rd, you got all night, you the next day to get stuff around, to get raced, you go to Christmas Eve, you go. If there were no work responsibilities at all on the 23rd, and I know a lot of places don't, or on the 24th. Like schools usually don't, and there's others. But like banks are open.
Hasn't the 24th become like a half day for most?
It has, but it should be like a full, like people should know.
Okay.
The 24th and the 25th are holidays. So I think that would make the world, because the 24th, when I think of a lot of my Christmas traditions, it's on New Year's Eve, like the going to church. I always watch It's a Wonderful Life. But it just seems like the 24th can be hectic, and it would be better if it was more of a relaxed celebratory preparation too. And maybe that doesn't happen. Maybe it's impossible for that to happen.
Sure.
But I think it would be better if it was.
No, it's not a bad one. It's a very reasonable, I guess, is that to say. I mean, most people are taking a half day to begin with. Kishi says, I honestly don't think I would add anything. Not to cop out here, I kind of agree with her. I don't know, like when you first brought it up, I thought about the things that I like about the holiday, and I don't know what I would change. If you don't love NBA basketball, by about 5 o'clock, Christmas is pretty much done. So maybe a way to carry on the day or something.
There's some like there could be something at night. Like when I heard you tell that your friends always got together at your house, like I've always had a vision of something like that.
Right.
Once you get, because when you have young kids, out by 10 o'clock in the morning, like they're done. They've ripped through everything. They've been up since the crack of dawn, and now you're just like, oh, we're supposed to have a meal. Now you're like, okay, now what are we supposed to do? And now there's this cleanup stuff, and there's all these, now what's being returned. You've got the pile of things that are being returned, and you've done your some assembly required and stuff. Sure. But that only takes so long. And then I always thought there could be some sort of evening of congregation of something of friends. Okay. But anyway.
No, it's I don't know. I'm trying to think of, like Stephanie says, I would add more time to celebrate, which is kind of what you're proposing.
Yeah, like an extra day.
You're saying like an extra day off or somehow. There is the week between is interesting. If you celebrate Christmas and then New Year's, that time in the gap. Now, because I coach and you coach now, that time in the gap's usually filled with stuff.
It's not just emptiness. Yes.
Correct. However, there is this lull between the two that I wonder if there's a way to do something. You don't even have to have necessarily time off, but just like a theme. Like, I don't want to call it like a spirit week. You know how schools do like the spirit week and every day? Like, I don't want to have it be something corny like that, but I wonder if there is a way.
Well, and I think for most adults, because one thought would be, we'll just give everybody off between Christmas and New Year's. I would go crazy if I didn't have anything to do for a week.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't want to do it. Now, maybe it's not, 40-hour week or whatever the case may be. But if you're just like, oh, you're off today, what are you going to do? It's winter.
Right.
I'm going to sit at home. I'm going to watch TV.
Right.
What are you going to do tomorrow? I'm going to sit at home. So, yeah, I don't like the shut everything down idea. But yes, it would be, could we find something in the meantime that's meaningful?
Sure. Heather said I'd add more time off work for everyone. That one's tricky too, because I think about some of the traditions and things that we did. For a while, we used to go to the movies at some point in that week, like we'd see something. But again, like a lot of the stuff that you would want to do, like it's part of the economy, and like you have to have employees and people have to be, it's hard to go see a movie theater if no one's
there to work the popcorn machine.
It's really difficult. There's got to be ways to add themes in to like the evenings of those nights where you do something different every night or something. I don't know.
No, I'm with you. Like
as
the world has we've had Black Friday now for however many years,
right.
But now we've added Cyber Monday, we've added Giving Tuesday, we have what's it called, Shop Local on Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah, so you're right. Maybe we could come up with some theme-ish things in between.
Now, Mary went the other way. There's already too much stuff that begins too early and overwhelms. I would make it mandatory that the Christmas season cannot begin until after Thanksgiving. No store decorations, Christmas music, or Christmas candy.
I like that. I'm all on board with that.
So we've talked before about Black Friday to that. For me, it's the weekend after the New Year's.
Right. It starts on Black Friday. I'm with you. We would lose that, but I'm in full support. I think a lot of people would support that. Christmas music too early drives most people nuts, I think.
That's probably true. I'm trying to find out if there's any others from the question. We're gonna have to go back to the ring thing because there's some great comments here.
All right.
Real quick, hold on. Leona says the same thing. Week off for Christmas. Vicky says shut down for a week, 10 days, so everyone has time together. I mean, time together here is the theme.
Well, that would be a thing. And as I just poo-pooed a week off. One of the things that it would do is it would allow people to go see people that aren't right next door.
Yeah.
So if you could, to go spend a weekend, because when you get people that are far enough away, you have to get there and stay. Right. You can't just drive there and turn around and drive back. So that would be a benefit.
The week off is the big one right now. Okay, bouncing back to the ring, because there are some pretty good comments here. Vicky says, only issue with the tattoo is if you end up divorced or with
She's got a point.
That is true. Very true.
I could see you with like permanent whiteout around here.
However, though, if you're single, it's a great red flag. Imagine if everyone had to get a tattoo ring, and then every time you got remarried,
you had to get one further up,
further down. So
you could have a sleeve. You could have a ring sleeve.
A ring sleeve. That now I would be paying attention to people's hands. I would do a 180, and I would, because that's the greatest red. I don't want to call it a red flag, because there are people who get. I mean, if you end up with somebody and the rings are like down to their fingertip, something.
That's funny. She is right though with the tattoo.
That would be an issue. Lisa says she's a pen clicker because we were talking about that one as well. Tiff says I would like to get a finger one.
I would like to get a finger one. What's that?
A lot of married men.
What does that mean?
A lot of married men don't wear rings. I used to think that it was because of work, like industrial.
Depending on what you do, yes.
Depending on what you do. But now as I get older, I don't know if that's as much the case as I thought it was. As a kid, I just assumed any husband who didn't wear a ring, they must work with steel, they must work with wood, and that's just not true.
Well, and in my case, I can just, because I'm not a jewelry wearer at all. Mm-hmm. I don't wear a necklace, I don't have piercings, I've never worn any jewelry, so I thought the wedding ring would drive me crazy, but I loved it because it gave me something to constantly fidget with.
Okay.
So I wonder how many married men just hate it.
Yeah.
Because if I wasn't fidgety, I might have hated it. But I just felt, in my world, once I got married, it was kind of like the seatbelt. Because when I was a little kid, we all didn't wear a seatbelt. And then you started wearing it and you kind of felt naked without it.
Sure.
And I just felt weird when I didn't have my ring on unless I was spinning it on the table or flipping it.
Right. Heather says you can't always judge a woman with a ring on her finger. Some wear a ring there anyway, even if single.
I was gonna wonder that. What percentage of women, when they're going out with their friends, if they are single, slap on a ring just because they don't want to deal with the BS of drunken people like Jeff Everett and his friends.
So this little family trivia, my dad never wore his ring because he worked for an electric company.
But see, now the argument, devil's advocate would say he could wear it when he's not at work.
Yes, he could have.
Okay.
But like you said, I think it's almost like you said, a seatbelt. It's either a hassle or it's a habit. Like it's one or, there's not a lot of middle ground. Like it either annoys you or you forget it's there.
Did I ever tell you, I had an old coach who, after he got married, he had gained a lot of weight.
Okay.
And it was one of those, like the tree grew around it, and so he he had great trouble getting his ring on and off because he was so heavy. So they finally, with soap and lubricants and whatever, got it off one day. And he's like, my wife was so mad. She's like, I'll give it back to you when you lose weight. And he did over however long, like 6 months. And she forgot where she put it.
Oh my God.
So he was walking around and he was like, and I remember one day asking him, why don't you wear a wedding ring? And he told me the story. He goes, so as soon as she finds where she puts it, I'll put it back on. He goes, I'm happy to wear it. She lost it.
That's great.
I thought that was funny.
Karen says, my husband has worn his wedding ring since we've been married. He has an embedded circle on his finger after all these years, even when he
Yes, I had that too. Well, mine was tan.
Okay.
When you didn't have it on, you could tell there was a tan line there.
Okay.
Not this time of year, but
so you would wear it like you weren't really a beach person though.
But I wore it at a swimming pool. Okay. I wore it at the Little League field. I just wore it everywhere.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. He says he doesn't have as much time to waste on possible married women. So it's an old joke in case that one went over your head.
No, that's what I thought. Okay. I thought that's very cruel.
I think it's an old joke.
I will say this. The one place where I had trouble wearing it and I didn't like wearing it, I could play golf with it on under a baseball glove was a problem.
Okay.
Because I'm right-handed, so I had the glove on my left hand and out. So there were lots, if I was playing catch or if I was at Little League practice, sometimes my ring would go in my pocket because the glove annoyed it.
Makes sense. That makes sense.
That's it.
Chris says, happy wife, happy life. Yes?
There's a lot of truth to that. If mama ain't happy, ain't nobody. Wasn't that a Tracy Bird song? If mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. Daddy's going to make mama happy tonight.
It's definitely a song.
I think it's Tracy Bird.
Mary says, I was widowed at age 39 and wore my rings for years. I don't think anybody's wearing it. I don't think anybody would wear their ring to be, what's the word I'm looking for? Like to be false. I think
they do.
You do? I don't think it's with an ill intent. I think it's more just for like they either feel safer or there's a connection they don't want to let go of, or they're like anybody who's wearing their ring that isn't married. I feel like they have their motivation isn't cruel. Does that make sense?
No, I don't think it's cruel. I think it's like in Mary's case, I'm sure it was that connection that she still felt married.
Sure. But
and devoted to this person.
But in Heather's example, even people that maybe have never been married,
I think they just don't want to deal with the hassle.
Sure, 100%.
I don't think that's cruel. I just think it's kind of
they're going to have to deal with my hassle because I'm not looking at their hand. I'm not looking at their hand anyway.
You are hassle resistant.
Let's see what else we have. Mark, send me my winnings from a month ago. Would love to win something. Bert and Ernie Christmas show. I think that's us. I think we're Bert and we're Ernie. Which one's the tall one?
Bert.
So Bert's the tall one? So you would be Bert?
No, Ernie's the happy one. I'm Ernie. You're Bert. You're like the stuck up, take care of the birds guy.
I know, but I'm not tall and skinny. See? You got to figure that one out.
It's true. That's true.
George says, if you're going to a bar to pick up a hot girl or guy, ring or no ring, sounds to me like you're desperate.
Well, what's funny is, and as you talked about, the bar scene never worked for me.
It never worked for me at let's say I was in like Baltimore, out of the blue, the bar scene would never work for me. Do you see what I'm saying? But if it's like a repeat, if it's like, I'm in the community and like stuff like that.
But it's somebody then you've seen again.
Correct.
Yes. Because that's what I say. I've told people I'm an acquired taste.
Right. The bar scene being desperate is interesting to me because it's funny, like younger generations, I don't want to say there's a pride to it. However, so many people now meet online and they, swipe right, swipe left, or you slide into their DMs, whatever lingo you want to use. There is kind of this, like if you meet somebody in person at a bar or wherever it may be, there is kind of like okay, like you actually
this is meant to be.
Like you were actually like out and about and you actually met somebody and stuff. So I don't know.
So
I don't know if I agree with with the word desperate. I don't know if I agree with that word now. I don't know where else you would meet. Where else would you meet somebody that you have no connection to at all? None.
Yeah, I mean, it would be. I agree.
Like you can't, like you're not going to do it. I don't even know where else you would go.
Like if you're going to church, then you at least go to the same church. And if you're going, if you're at work, you at least have the same job, or just to meet someone totally random. Now, I do think if it's like, if you're by yourself and you're going to a bar by yourself with the sole intention of meeting the love of your life, and that does seem, but like we always went with friends.
Sure.
You went with friends. The other, like you could go to a bar with 8 guys or 4 guys or whatever, and there might be 2 other people in the whole place and you'd still have a blast.
Sure.
So it's not about, it's just an added bonus of who else is there.
Yeah. I never thought about going like as an individual and how that changes it up.
Yeah.
But also too, like, isn't there, to me, like there's a ridiculous confidence to going by yourself. Have you ever, like I used to, when I was in college, I used to go to the Dollar Theater. Have you ever heard, did you have a Dollar Theater or anything?
No.
So in Erie, they had a Dollar Theater where if you waited a month or 2, you could see any movie for $1.
I know, I've heard of them. Maybe that's why your grades weren't so good. You spent too much time at the Dollar
Maybe that's what it was. But I would go to these, and there were times where I would want to go see a movie and no one else was interested. And I would go to the Dollar Theater by myself. And I never saw it as desperate. Like you have to be okay with yourself to go to the bar or a movie by yourself. You have to be very kind of secure in who you are.
Yes.
More people in my life than less would not go to a movie or the bar alone.
I agree with that. I'll tell you, well, a funny story. I finally went to a movie by myself recently.
Okay.
I remember my daughter, who is now sophomore in college, went to a movie by herself when she was like 14.
Okay.
And she had a couple friends. One of them couldn't go. One of them had to work. And it was like, we got to the point, and her thing was, now with the internet, if I wait too long,
I'll find out.
I'm going to know what happened.
Sure.
So I kind of have to go either today or tomorrow. And neither of them can go today or tomorrow. So I'll just go by myself.
Sure.
And my ex and I were so proud of her.
Yeah.
Because at 14, she was like, I just want to see the movie.
Sure.
So I tell you what I do as an adult is I play golf by myself a lot.
Okay.
And it's kind of the same thing. If people like it, buddy, I can quit when I want to. If it's not going well, I can just drive off the course and go. Sure. I can skip holes. I don't need to round it. I can decide in that, hey, I'm going to the golf course.
Right. I'm curious, if George is listening, I'm curious is there a place you could go that you wouldn't feel like it would be desperate? Like, where is the place that you would go to meet somebody that wouldn't come off as desperate to you?
Tinder.
I'm curious.
Sorry.
Right, but you're not going there. You're not going there. Let's see. I'm trying to see if there's anyone else that go along with this. No, I think we mostly dive in. Here's the silicone rings. They are comfortable. Have you seen those at all? They're not the metal. They're like,
yeah.
Okay. That's not too bad. But see, I still think I'd fidget with it way too much.
I would too. And the worst thing about silicone rings is they're bendy. You could tie them in a knot. You could do it.
I don't think it solves. I'm sure they're more comfortable, but I don't think it solves the fidget problem.
The only time I wore ring sleeves, I agree. The only time I ever wore a silicone ring is when I was in the play.
Okay.
They'll tell you before your wedding if this chick doesn't dump you more sooner than later. Okay. And that when you get nervous and you get swell, your ring might not slide easily on and off. Like they'll tell you when you slide, but it might not go all the way on because you might be swollen. So I was wearing a real ring when I was in the play, and in the It's a Wonderful Life, the ring has to come on and off depending on what stage you are in the show. And I couldn't get it off, and I kind of hit it. When I got off stage, we were backstage. I was looking at my finger, like all the things to try to do. We finally got it off. And then I was like, but I need to put one back on and I need to take it off again through the show. So they had a silicone one as a backup. Okay. And they're like, here, this isn't going to get stuck. Okay. But nice. But I did, and this is the craziness of theater goers, and you're going to, because, and you talked about attention to detail. I had someone ask me why I changed from a gold ring to a silver ring in the middle of the show. Pretty crazy. And I was like, you noticed the ring? So you talk about, kudos to them. You wouldn't notice. I had someone ask me why, and I told him because my fingers were too fat, and we almost had to surgically remove the gold one
Yeah, to me, that's kudos to them, because I wouldn't have seen the ring the first time.
It is
just wouldn't
amazing
cross
the
my mind.
details that some people notice about things and
Yeah.
some people won't.
Oh, I totally agree with that. That's the Shawshank, right? He walks back to his cell with the new shoes
With the new shoes on, and no one
people
noticed.
just don't notice. Julie says, I as a woman love to wear my rings always, and my husband also. So there you go. So I 100% know there are people out there who absolutely love it.
There may be a chance that Julie's husband doesn't love it, but he does it just because she loves it and he's going to hear about it.
Isn't that love?
Yes, there's a lot to it. Absolutely.
Here, Laura brought up a good point too. It's like having dinner by yourself at a restaurant as well. I do know people that I'm much more willing to do than the other ones we talked about. I've eaten by myself a lot. Eaten. I've eaten by myself a lot.
It's there was a point I got to the point that I liked going to lunch by myself.
Okay.
But I haven't. Like, even at 50 years old, if I wanted to watch a game and it was, say, it's only on at Wild Wings.
Yeah.
I would try to find someone to go.
Sure.
Unless I know if Penn State's playing, I know people are going to be there.
Sure.
If the Steelers are playing, I know. Like on Sundays for football, I'll just go.
Right.
And I know there's somebody there that I know anyway that I can sit with.
Sure.
But yeah, just to go out to eat by myself, I don't.
See, that one bothers me the least. I have very little issue with that. I've done that in like the last week. I've gone and like ate by myself.
Because no one likes you.
That's what it is. Maybe it's part of it. This might be part of it. Jeffrey's dad, we're letting all the secrets out of the box today. Jeffrey's dad was on call 24/7, so the ring was more of a hassle trying to keep track of it if we were out and had to leave ASAP, so it stayed in the
That makes sense.
box. It is.
And I agree with you. If you spent half of your day without it on, like, and then when you get home from work, like, who are you wearing? Like, it's to symbolize. You're like, right. Honey, we're married. She's like, no kidding. I was there. Like, right. So I get that.
Yeah, interesting.
I bet a lot of the men's are occupationally. I truly agree with your statement on that.
Okay. Well, I hope so. Makes sense. All right. Well, that was a good debate. That was not the debate we were.
It was not the one we planned on.
That's a good one though.
Ring sleeve. I will never forget. I will be laying on my deathbed laughing about some dude with ring tattoos.
It's like on a snake. Like, you know, the rattles on the snake tell you how old it is.
Yes.
The more
I did know that.
You know, it's kind of like, you know, the rings on the finger. Like, you know how many divorces and how many failed marriages there have been. And that's not even entirely. It is. I mean, what's the number that now? Because I will say this: to me, the first divorce is not a red flag. It isn't. That's my opinion. I've seen so many people get married too young, too early, to me, that first one's. But like, when is it? Is it 3? Like, is it like when do you start to know like this might?
Yeah, that's a good. That would be a good topic of. I think. There's a level of like figuring it out. Mm-hmm. And I think most people would say, even the happily married people, when the kids are young is tough.
Sure.
Because you're still, as an adult, you're still young and vibrant. And you just went from being able to do all these things. Like, you're an adult, you have a job, you have money, you can do whatever you want. And now you're essentially, I don't say you're homebound, but to a lot, like, it's raising young kids is constant.
Here's what. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say, as you get through it, like, life is just easier when your kids, hey, where's the kids after school? Oh, I have practice. I have work. You don't have to worry about it. Did you get something to eat? I'll make something out of the fridge. Like, there's an easiness to life so that people don't have to deal with the stress. Sure. So I think there's a lot of that too, that with later. But yeah, you don't know what. You don't even. Like, you're so much different at 40 than you are at 22.
Yes. So that's why for me, like, that first one, I've just never measured the first one as like this detriment. Because there's some people, like, to be divorced is just this red flag and like, well, watch out. And it's like, well, no, like, I also think when you look at celebrities and you look at different people that have been through like multiple 3, 4, 5 divorces, I think there's also like a willingness to walk away does not necessarily mean you're a red flag. I'm not saying for some you can you could be a runner, right? Like, maybe you're a runner at the first sign of trouble, like things like that. But also too, like, a willingness to walk away does not mean you're a bad person.
No, and it would be
I'm
interesting
jealous
to
of
see
people that have a willingness to walk away.
it would be interesting to see people who have been on like 3 or more marriages. As to, I've seen friends who after the first one they are afraid that society sees them as damaged, and they get into a relationship with someone that they wouldn't necessarily, they're just happy that someone is accepting their damage.
Sure.
As opposed to, I really like this person. And then all of a sudden they get into their second relationship and they're like, oh my God, this one sucks too. So, because some people dive back in way too quickly because they've lost their self-confidence,
Sure.
because they think they're damaged.
Sure.
So yeah, I agree with you on that. I bet there's a lot of people that the first marriage they thought was going to work, and the second marriage they're like, what was I thinking?
I was the best man in a wedding when I was 19, because like just out of high school and graduated, and he was going off. I got to
ask the question.
He was going off to the army, and
then that explains it.
And but it was just very like, we're doing this and like it's happening, and so like they got divorced shortly after, and I've just never viewed either of them. Like, to me, that should never be a mark on their relationship qualifications.
When you said 19, my first thought was pregnant.
No.
Military is a quick follow-up. Those are the two when you're really young. Yeah. Military, pregnant.
But there was just like, they had a wedding, they did it, like it was done. And then, like I said, it ended. And I think for some people, like, oh, that person got divorced. And knowing both of them, like knowing both of them pretty closely at that time, like, no way should that go on like the resume, like of their relationship abilities.
When you were in the wedding, were you like, this thing has no shot? I
was never like that. But what I will say, like being 19 and just kind of looking at it, like just kind of like overview of it, I do remember thinking like, this is unbelievably quick. Like even for 19, this felt very surreal.
Just think now, 19. Mm-hmm. What do you know at 19?
I was an idiot when I was 19. I might still be an idiot.
I was going to say, I don't know if you want to put that in the past tense.
I might still be an idiot.
Yeah, it's funny because I said, I was asking a kid, and I'm trying to think, was it a college kid because now around basketball, I'm around so many high school kids, but I saw someone, and it was either a senior in high school or college, and I said, do you know what you want to do? And I think they kind of gave a vague answer, but it was kind of like, no. And I said, hey, there's 48-year-olds who don't know what they want to do. Right. So, like, don't sweat it. Yeah. But, at 19, we don't know anything. No.
Let's do some winners.
Oh, I forgot all about it. We would have got through the show with no winners if it wasn't for you.
Thank you to Weiss Markets for being our title sponsor. As you approach holidays, be sure to go there for all your grocery needs. Mark, go ahead. Say a few words about a few people.
Fresh Life. What's funny is this just shows how we are. I walked into a room here, and everyone in that room knew their hours of operation, like what they have. Like there are people, if you are into Fresh Life, it is a wonderful place.
Yes.
We are so healthy.
Fresh life or no life, as they say.
Is that what they say?
It's not, but they should hire me.
I was going to say, so
Fresh Life is no.
We would. I mean, I have bought stuff in Fresh Life, but I don't live and die with it like some. But it is a neat place.
Fresh Life, call us.
The Break Room, Tony's Deli, Eat and Run Catering, Rainbow Carpet, Williamsport Moving Company, the CBD store, Chaos Fun Zone. We gave one of those away. The Moon and Raven, Willard's, which is. Willard's has so much good stuff, leather goods and more. Willard's is it has the fantastic card rack. If you're looking for funny cards, I've always been like, go to Spencer's for those cards. Willard's has a lot of good ones too.
Nice.
So anyway, that's what we got on the wheel today.
Okay.
Winners from yesterday, more winners coming now. Who are you asking me which one we want first?
Yeah, go for it.
Hugs.
And we don't. So likes. You want to do likes? Hugs?
Can we do hearts? Can we do hearts? We need some Christmas love.
We can do that. So here's the winner for today. So again, people who liked the show yesterday, liked, hugged, cared, whatever emoji you chose, we're gonna spin it out here. And the winner for today is Alicia Ergot.
There we go.
Let's do it.
Do you think Alicia has a ring sleeve?
No, I don't know. You know who used to wear the finger sleeve?
Who?
Allen Iverson. Remember, he used to have the finger sleeves they would wear.
He played with a finger sleeve?
Yeah, he had finger sleeves. It was a big deal.
I didn't know that.
What Alicia?
He's
won?
my favorite NBA player. Alicia won the CBD store.
Oh, okay. Nice.
There's a. I don't know. I don't even know what to say with that one.
I knew you did it.
I don't know what to say.
I wanted to see how you swam your way out of that one.
I stammered and stumbled and
All right.
the CBD store. Congratulations to Alicia.
Nice. Comments or shares?
Comments.
All right, let's do the comments here. And today's winner for comments is Nicole Hall Reynolds.
Practice. Not a game. Not a game.
Practice.
I'm going to be thinking that all day now.
I bet you Reebok made a lot of money off of the finger sleeves too.
Do you think?
I think so.
Do they make a lot of money off practice?
Jimmy probably has one somewhere.
Chaos Fun Zone.
Oh, that's the one I wanted yesterday. Have you gone, like, do they still, I'm assuming they still have the arcade down below the bowling alley, and
I have not.
you've never done it.
I've never done the arcade.
It's so fun.
Yeah?
We should do a show from there.
You want to?
So much fun. They've got all the different, like you said, like the legit arcade game. Not that pinball and stuff isn't legit.
Do they have Miss Pac-Man?
I doubt it.
Donkey Kong?
No.
No?
No, they have the ones like, they have like, last I was there, they had a Jurassic like World one.
Donkey
like
Kong
shooting
Jr.?
dinosaurs, and no, we have a different, you and I have very different versions of what an arcade is.
One of my all-time favorite arcade games, only old people know this. It was called Jungle King.
Okay.
And it was like Tarzan. First you had to swing on vines, and then you had to swim through the water, and you had to stab the alligators,
Okay.
and then you had to run. There were boulders. You had to duck under, jump over. Oh, Jungle King. I loved it.
Nice.
Loved it.
Pretty sweet. Chaos Fun Zone, bowling alleys as well. So you've never actually gone. We have to go.
I don't think. You know
Okay.
another one I loved?
What?
Track and field with the roller ball. You would
Yeah.
roll. Do you remember that one?
that one.
Oh, track and
Yes.
field with the roller ball was a gem.
Okay. I do
love
actually
that.
remember that one. So the last one we have for today, people who shared the video yesterday, and our winner is going to be Kristen Gare.
I don't know if I've ever seen anyone spell Kristen
That way.
CR with two I's.
Kristen.
I think that's a first for me. That's a
Like
very
it.
unique way to spell that. I mean, it makes sense,
Right.
but it's like K
It's kinda-
or
it's
with
a
an
Chris-
E at the
That's a
end.
Christmassy name.
Kristen Kringle.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I don't know. Maybe lots of people spell it that way, but that just looks unique to me. All right, Kristen Gare. Here we go. Any of the Loyal Sock Gares?
I don't
Did
know.
Aiden and Eli have a sister?
They did. I don't think their name was Kristen.
Older, younger?
Older.
Oh, okay. So Eli was the baby.
Yes.
Oh, God.
Metaphorically and biologically.
That's funny.
Thank you.
I like that. I hope he's watching. Williamsport Moving Company.
Awesome.
Congrats. They have a Panera gift card behind that. But thank you to
Sweet.
Williamsport Moving Company if you have any. Oh, and I should throw this in just to plug Williamsport Moving Company because I
Go for
think
it.
I used them 20 years ago. If you know somebody that's like in a big city
Mhm.
and moving to Williamsport,
Yeah.
because people always think you have to use the local company,
Sure.
the Philadelphia company. They pack your stuff up, they come here and move it.
Right.
It was way cheaper for us when we were moving from Baltimore to Williamsport to hire Williamsport Moving Company.
Ah.
They came down, they packed the whole house one day, stayed in a hotel, drove it up and unloaded it,
Okay.
because the other company would just do it the other way. They would drive up, unload it, and then stay and go home.
I see.
But it was way cheaper. So if you ever have any, obviously no one from here, but if you have relatives or anything like that that's moving from big city to small city, it might be better to call Williamsport Moving Company, have them come get you.
Yeah.
It was for us. That
makes
is
sense.
a true story.
We have about 2 minutes to wrap up the show here today. Is there anything you're just dying to get out?
No, did you bring my movie in?
No, I didn't.
Did you even look? No, you
I might
didn't
watch it. I might watch it.
You didn't even look. You didn't even look.
You've opened up the opportunity because one of the movies you gave me was called Rebound, which is a old basketball documentary.
It's like a biopic.
Okay. Stephen Curry, new 3-point record holder.
I saw that.
Exciting.
He's pretty good. Greatest shooter ever.
But it's not even close.
Greatest shooter ever.
Not
It
even
wasn't. Yeah. If that came out as a question, I didn't mean it to be a
No,
question.
no.
That's a statement.
No, it's not even close.
Who's second?
Probably. I mean, it's probably Ray Allen.
Ray
but
Allen?
This is the funny part. Ray Allen could not do I mean, the shot Stephen Curry hits, the gap between 1 and 2 might be bigger in this record.
I agree with that.
Than any other.
It's kind of like Jerry Rice to who's the second best wideout ever.
Yeah, I mean, the gap is just bonkers.
No, I'm with you on that. Now, is it Ray Allen or is it Jesus Shuttleworth?
Both.
They're equal for number
They're
2.
Equal. They're
Jesus
equal.
was that good of a shooter.
If you go through the movie, I don't know if Jesus misses a shot unless he's playing his dad, but clearly there's a mental block there that just he couldn't get past.
You like that movie?
I think there are parts of it that are fantastic, and then there are parts of it that it is very much it's Spike Lee trying to do some stuff that just didn't hit. Like, it just didn't make it. But the movie itself is very enjoyable.
Overall, I enjoy He Got Game.
Yes.
I enjoy
there are scenes in it that make up for a couple of parts of the movie where you're just kind of like, and here's the other, Ray Allen was very good for an athlete. He wasn't great in that movie for an actor. There's some rough,
I get it.
There's some rough emotional scenes with Ray Allen that like he's not an actor.
I get it. He did well. They could either find an actor who looked like he was a great basketball player. They could find a great basketball player to act, and they went with it.
Yes.
I thought, but overall, it's good. It's a fun movie.
If you would have had, I mean, they were one good basketball playing actor away from really having like an opportunity to be nominated, like actually get it. The Ray Allen performance was it was good enough to make it a good movie. It wasn't great enough to kind of take it to another. Imagine if you had somebody who really knew how to act in those Denzel father-son scenes.
But I'd make the argument. Well, yeah, I guess. Because I was going to make the argument, he's playing the part of a great basketball player. He's a great basketball player.
No, I disagree, because what he's really doing is there's two characters he's playing. He's playing the son of a convict.
Right.
And then the other character that he's playing the savior of a city. This son of a convict and savior of a city happens to be a great basketball player. And so, like, there are scenes that Ray Allen just can't play.
But Ray Allen could have been born into that.
He wasn't.
He wasn't, but like, what if Ray Allen's dad? Like, he'd have still been a great basketball player. So I do get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like, the other aspect is if you're just someone who's not a huge NBA fan and you don't know that Ray Allen is a basketball player, then like we knew.
Yeah.
So did that detract from it? But no, He Got Game is worthwhile watching, without a doubt.
Very, very enjoyable.
Well, Denzel's in it.
Yeah, very, very enjoyable. And Ray Allen did a nice job for a basketball player. He pulled it off. He wasn't great, but he pulled off.
But he did not fall on his face.
He did
Absolutely.
not at all.
Absolutely.
Having to go toe-to-toe with Denzel is not the easiest.
Hey, you carry this scene. I'll read my lines. You carry the rest.
Right. No, not the easiest. So there we go.
All right, that's all we got.
All right. Thank you guys for watching the Midday Show. Thank you to Weiss Markets, and be sure to go to NorthcentralPa.com for all of your local news. One last reminder, like, comment, and share today's video. You can do one or all three, and it gives you an opportunity to win tomorrow, Friday.
The words of the day are ring sleeve.
Yep.
Is that a compound word? Is it hyphenated? How are we doing that?
We'll figure it out.
And what was the other one? Intriguement?
Intriguement.
Intriguement is a good word. If that's not a word, it is now.
We're going to look it up. We're going to find out.
You did well with that one.
I'm Jeff Everett. He's Mark Messina. We will see you tomorrow.